I won 7 world titles. I won 6 in a row. I won 5 in a state of fear. It's reasonable to have fears about the future, but if you allow your future fears to dictate how you approach the current moment, then you're sabotaging your present opportunity. So how do you define success, right? Because
a string of world titles.
In my early years, I would attribute my failures to it because I was inflexible. I wasn't able to adapt. I didn't have this malleable mindset or this growth mindset. I had a very fixed mindset, and that was obviously clearly defined in my regimented processes. And if it didn't work out, then it was the processor's fault. It wasn't my fault. So
So what would you do? Like something didn't work out, what would you do? Would you beat yourself up?
Yeah, beat myself up. I just wanted to smash my board, bawl my eyes out, blame the judges, throw rocks at my competitors. Like I was just angry.
Yeah. So you were ruthless
Yes.
in the pursuit of those things that got you to become successful. So
Yes,
and
I
if
was.
you didn't get there, you'd be filthy.
And that's because my self-worth and identity was wrapped up in my success, which meant when I was up and successful, I was euphoric, and when I was down and depressed, I was in a very dark, when I failed, I was in a dark, depressed state.
So
if I could take what I know now and apply it to back then, I would do it very differently. I won 7 world titles. I won 6 in a row. I won 5 in a state of fear. So world titles 1 and 7 were won in a state of love. And what that looked like was letting go of the outcome.
you could get the same outcome?
I can create a much better outcome.
Yeah,
Let go of the outcome.
Because you enjoy the way there.
I enjoyed the processes,
Yeah.
and I wasn't regimented about the processes. I just focused my attention on the process at the time that it demanded my attention. I knew more about my equipment than my peers. I was more fit and healthy. I knew more about nutrition. I knew more about how my body responded and how much time it needed to recover. I went into the shaping bay with my boyfriend at the time, Ken Bradshaw, and learned how to shape my own boards and run my hands over them and feel the idiosyncrasies that you need to feel to get the best out of your equipment. So I was better prepared than anybody. So
First and seventh.
First and seventh.
Why
First to sixth, actually. 1 to 7, I was that engaged. What shifted after winning my first one was the expectation I put myself under. But when I came to world title number 2, which is 1999, now all of a sudden I think I have to be twice as good as what I was in 1998, and it was just unacceptable, and it was painful.
In a chemical sort of way, like within your own body. I mean,
tension.
Stress and tension produce cortisol.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like poison. It's not a great feeling. It doesn't feel great. I mean, it obviously drove you to win the next world title, but at the same time, you're not enjoying the process.
No.
I mean, in business, it's the same thing. A lot of people put themselves under intense pressure. I wonder whether or not there's a lesson in all this for everybody listening to this. And
that would be the intention.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to produce now.
Yes.
Sort of, is it about sort of trying to enjoy? I hate using the word the fucking journey. But
I know, I really do too. It's such a cliche. Enjoy the journey.
But is it about that?
What is the journey?
Is it about that? Like sort of trying to enjoy it. I mean, it doesn't mean you can do it all the time.
Trying is you might as well be pushing shit uphill as well, because trying is the opposite of trusting. Trying is pushing and pulling and striving, and yet you're never thriving because you're always trying. So I feel that we need to take these words out of our dialogue and out of our daily communication. Stop hoping. Because to me, that stands for heaps of plausible excuses as to why it can't happen. It's a great acronym, If you're going to keep hoping, then everything outside of you has to almost fall into place before you can. And so stop hoping, stop trying, stop thinking about it, stop guessing it, and
stop fearing
it and start feeling it.
Right.
Now, when you said, when we put ourselves under pressure, it brings up all this cortisol and adrenaline, and it's not a good thing. Well, at times it is a good thing, because for me, I love feeling fear because it brings my presence and my awareness back to the present moment. So I'm very clear when I'm in fear. But if you're relying on that day after day after day, you will end up with...
sick.
Yeah, you'll end up with
sick.
chronic fatigue like I did twice. You'll end up with depression. You'll end up with all sorts of serious health concerns, physically, mentally, emotionally. You're going to basically drive yourself into the ground. And how sustainable is that model to success?
That's a short-lived. That's a
short-lived life.
It's a short-lived life. I mean, and a lot of people, these people, I do too. They turn to drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Because that's the escape.
Sedatives and stimulants.
Yeah.
That's how they get through life.
I'm down, I'm up. I mean, then that becomes a bit of a cycle. And I mean, this happens in business all the time too. And right now, for example, people in Victoria, to pick a place.
Yeah.
You know, I've got like 60 branch owners of the Yellow Brick Road business down there, and I know they're all feeling it pretty tough. And they're all fearful. They're all fearful of their future. They're fearful of the value of their business. They're fearful of the assets they own. They're fearful of whether the superannuation is going to be enough. They're fearful if they're going to have enough income to pay their mortgage. They're fearful of a million things, and so are our customers down there. I mean, what would you say to these people right now?
Fear doesn't exist in the present moment unless you allow it to. Now it's reasonable to have fears about the future. But if you allow your future fears to dictate how you approach the current moment, then you're sabotaging your present opportunity. So constantly thinking about the future, it increases our levels of anxiety. And so then our heart rate rises, our minds start racing up, we lose control of our emotions, and then we're not in a state where we're creating clarity around what's our choice right now, what can I do right now to create more certainty in my life. And then we'll start projecting. So we project into the future, it increases our anxiety. We reflect into the past, which increases our anger, because you start thinking, why did I do that? I can't believe I did that. I'm such a fool. That was so stupid. And the only thing that we can control is how we feel in the present moment. So
how do you do that?
You breathe.